In this beginner's guitar lesson, we're going to look at the B7 chord. The B7 chord is one of the trickiest 7th chords because of the shape, and we'll see that in a moment. It's also a little bit more complicated because going from, let's say, the B chord to the B7 requires a huge amount of changing. Have a look at this. So here's the B chord, and to go to the B7, there you see is a big old change, which is different when you compare, for example, going from the C to C7. There's C and there's C7. We just add one finger. Not much of a change. Or, for example, the G to G7. Again, just one finger's changing. Or the A to A7. Or finally the E to E7. So those chords are pretty simple to change from, but as I said, the B to B7 requires a lot more. Of course, going from other chords to B7, so like this, or like this, doesn't require a lot of changing. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first let's get into how to make a B7 chord. The B7 chord uses 4 fingers, and if you look at the shape there and look at the positions on the guitar, we will be using the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th fingers. It's the 2nd finger first, and that goes on the 2nd fret of the A or the 5th string. The 1st finger is next, that goes onto the 1st fret of the D or 4th string. The 3rd finger is next, and that goes onto the 2nd fret of the G or 3rd string, and finally we get the little finger there on the 2nd fret of the top E or 1st string there. And you'll see that these 3 fingers are all on the same fret there. You've got to make sure that the strings all ring out, and because here everything is all kind of close up together and all bunched up there, we need to make sure that each string rings out. So if we play each string individually, okay, then so all those 5 strings rang out really nicely. And we get that really great 7th chord, bluesy 7th chord sound. If you have something like this, something like that, well then we need to work on the position of our fingers, and so we need to make sure that they're arched a little bit more, and so not kind of flat like that, but a little bit more arched. And also maybe you might need to think about making sure you're pressing a little bit harder on the strings as well, so that you get a nice clear sound like so. And you'll see also from the guitar chord chart there that the 6th string is not played, and you're going to use your thumb, as you see here, thumb to dampen that string. And so you have then, with that dampened, you then have the freedom to just strum away. So remember, make sure your fingers are arched nicely, make sure you're putting in enough force, but not too much force to make the string ring out, and also that your fingers are not touching other strings, otherwise you get that kind of sound. So that's what you want. Here's the B. This is a basic shape, it's not a bar chord. And you can see the finger positions on the chord diagram. And going from this B to B7, there's a lot to change. However, there is one little finger that's kind of anchoring you, and that's this finger here, the 3rd finger. Because when you go to B7, you can just slide it down 2 frets, and then that will stay exactly where it is, and then all the all the other fingers will go into position. And so sliding up and then sliding down to the B7. So that's a little tip that you can use to help you if you're going from B to B7, and that change is very common in many songs, and also in a 12 bar in E or a 12 bar in B. Now let's look at other chord shapes that you can transition to and from. Going from something like B7 to the E shape, and as you can see from the way I'm changing, my second finger isn't moving. That finger stays in position and it's my anchor. And also it works for the E7 as well, which is even easier because you're only using two fingers. So there's the B7 shape, then it's just this finger moving over there and everything lifting off. And this here is the easy E7 shape. Also going from B7 to the A chord, this will be a common change in a 12 bar. So there's your B7 shape, and this finger here will stay exactly where it is. The first finger will come off, and these two, that will tuck in underneath, and that will go in front. And we have that change. And obviously the reverse is true, so when we're going from A to B7, keep this here, keep the third finger there, lift off these two and kind of move them to the appropriate string, and then push back that first finger onto the first fret of the D string. Okay, here's a little bit of practice that you can do for the B7, and here's a common progression. We've got E to A, E, and then B7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another progression you can use to practice is E to B7 to E and then A. Another very common chord progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're getting value out of this, hit the notification button for more content just like this. And if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, hit the like button. If you need any help with any of those chords that I mentioned earlier, then check the link in the description to those lessons, or alternatively, press the playlist here. See you in the next video.